gonna reach that skyline.
I just, it's usually you ask those things if you have like two comparable. I mean, whatever. Yeah. Can select the best options for given as well. And this I doubt. This I doubt. I mean, not only only because you have a lot of hours in the game doesn't mean you. And I'm not talking about jobs. I'm talking generally speaking, because Toby says if you have a lot of hours in the game, you're automatically good. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you can play League of Legends for thousands of hours and you're still not good. It depends on your approach. And no, I'm a little bit allergic here because I think I heard something today about like taking so long doesn't mean like you learn so fast. And I'm thinking, how stupid is that? Like, you learn exactly by taking your time. Exactly by taking your time, you learn. So like what we do is we learn. Every day we learn. And we actively learn. By trying to find the best moves and then incorporating these good moves. In coordination to just playing and learning nothing. And people who think that they are just becoming better by playing think twice. Because I mean, I had that in every area, whether it was in poker, whether it was in Hearthstone, whether it was in Gwent, it's always the same. And this is maybe really interesting. Maybe we can get something from this round at least. So there are two different kinds of ways to approach an area. The one is the intuitive way, which is easy or easier, which is a natural way to approach things. And which most of people do, like 99% of people, or 98% of people, whatever. And there is the analytical approach. So what is the difference between those two? The emotional way, or the intuitive way, is you just play the game. You played. You don't analyze too much. You played. So how does your learning curve look like? I can tell you, the learning curve, if this is like, let's say 100%, it looks like this. And then it goes like this. If this is 100% of what you can receive with intuitive play. So it goes like this. Okay? So I compare this with the analytical way. So the analytical way doesn't go like this. The analytical way goes like this. So it's a way slower approach to learning, which means you need to spend more hours to achieve the same type of gameplay level, like an emotional player or like an intuitive player. Therefore, you will be worse at the beginning, and that's also why most people just don't do that, because even like with a feedback circle, they realize, hey, that's just the worst approach. But now, why would you ever even go for the analytical approach? Like I have a very analytical approach. So why would you ever do that? Why? I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? But it does make sense. Because once, at some point here, suddenly these lines are crossing. So if this is the individual line and this is the analytical line, they are crossing. So at some point, with an analytical approach, you are as good as an emotional player. As strong as an intuitive player. But what happens then? This. The analytical approach goes further, and that is where I completely disagree with you, Toby. Because Toby basically says, hey, an intuitive player who spent thousands of hours in a game can just switch to the analytical approach, and therefore basically making up for this gap. And I've witnessed that in poker, I've witnessed that in Hearthstone. Whenever I played the game, I witnessed that. It's just not true. You cannot switch from an analytical approach to from an intuitive approach to an analytical approach, because you need to have the foundation, you need to have the base for that, and oh, that's not what you said. You said what? Maybe then you reframe, but I just think in general it's very interesting, So it's basically as an intuitive player, you basically are stuck on the level you play, and you can also really difficult increase that play level, because you also grind in all the crap, all the garbage beliefs. You know, I don't know what could be a garbage belief. Never swap out random boss item. It's a garbage belief. It's correct to play the random boss item on the Watcher. Why don't people why play people thousands of hours and just don't realize that that's the better option? Yeah, because they are stuck in their common beliefs. Exactly. And so can an analytical player switch to intuitive play? Yeah, sure. Why not? But it doesn't work the other way around. It's also about communication, by the way. If you will see, if two intuitive players talk with each other, let's say you have one intuitive player having this playing strength, another intuitive player having this playing strength. They talk with each other. Do they improve? Very little, because they don't have a foundation, you know. The one guy says, hey, weak kick is a great card, but bowling bash sucks. This guy says, hey, bowling bash is a great card, but weak kick sucks. And at the end of the day, they both learned nothing. Where if you have an analytical approach, you can actually argue, you know. You can say, hey, I take the bowling bash because the damage output, which is expected, is on multiple enemy fights 18, and in singular enemy fights is 7. Therefore, I believe in average it will output me a damage of 14, and 1 mana 14 printed on an attack card is reasonable. You know, like you can have some kind of foundation, and therefore you can actually also, if you interact with each other, you can also increase your level. But not only that, but obviously you can do it also yourself, right? I mean, you can basically also deduct yourself the best gameplay, and yeah, whatever. Yeah, nah, it's just I guess it's also something where I'm just faced already all my life with, and it's always the same, you know. Like people are starting playing a game. Usually I'm not very good at the games at the beginning because I have an analytical approach. I'm not completely bad, but I'm also not super good. I start analyzing the things and realize, okay, these things are right, some things are not right, and maybe having some conversation about it. Then usually you become trash talk because, yeah, maybe you analyze that the random boss rate swap on the Watcher is the correct thing to do, but you cannot back it up because, like, that was, like, for example, the case here now in Slay the Spire, you know, like, you know that I'm always like saying, hey, random boss rate swap is just better, but can I back it up? No, because I don't have the ability to play the game well enough. Yeah, because with the analytical approach, you have to spend time in order to catch up. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, pretty much in every area. And then at some point you catch up, and then suddenly it goes very easy, you know, because you still improve your gameplay, but others don't. Therefore, you can create tremendous edge. Perfect. Yeah. What people, I'm also saying it haunts a little bit because obviously the analytical approach takes way more time. Way more time. Yeah. Intuitive. It's like having like a hard drive. You know, if you play intuitively, you just read your hard drive. So for those who like who have like I mean, you have a PC, you know, and reading from the hard drive is not really resource intensive. It's not really resource intense. You can just read from the hard drive. It costs you no time. If you just execute what you already know, it doesn't cost you time. Yeah. But if you have a computating process, that's where you take your time. And that's with the computer, the same as it is for the human. Yeah. So I don't need to computate things I already know. Yeah. I need to think about things we don't already know, situations we haven't already faced. Yeah. Maybe we can see some similarities, but the computational process takes time. And those people who don't take time, they read from their hard drive. Yeah? They do pattern plays. And sometimes they are good, but usually because they didn't analyze the first pattern plays or the pattern plays they put into action in the first place. Usually that won't be, that will be suboptimal play. Yeah. Yeah, let's continue with this here. No, but on the other hand, it's also true that maybe I would love like I don't know. Maybe that's also another thing. Maybe I'm also thinking maybe people don't understand what that actually means, the difference in win rate. Like if you play 75 to 80 instead of 55 to 60, like this delta of 20%. I mean, it doesn't sound big. It seems okay. Yeah, okay. The guy, this guy has 55 to 60, and the other guy has 75 to 80. I mean, where's the difference? But the reality is tremendous. 20%. It basically means we win the games, the other guy wins as well, and then we win half of the games that guy doesn't win. We win half of the games which are basically deemed unwinnable from like another person. We win those as well, you know? It's not okay. This is like 60, this is 80. Okay, that's roughly the same. Like I drink 600 milliliters, you drink 800 milliliters. That's like, okay, that's not much of a difference. But 60 and 80, you know, like the skill difference to create those deltas of win percentage, this difference of win percentage is, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I cannot explain how big of a difference it is because in order to understand that, yeah, but maybe I can frame it that way. Like you have 100 games. From these 100 games, again, 20 or 30 games are automatically won by just the greatness of relics you receive. And then you have the other 70 games. And from the other 70 games, well, others are winning 25 and we are winning 50. Yeah, I don't know. So what can I say? And also, I mean, saying that those guys are also already playing very high level. So if people are playing high level, it's even more difficult to create this edge, you know. So yeah. And I guess maybe I'm also a little bit framed because it's a lot of hard work for me. I mean, for those, like, if you would ask me what's easier, I would definitely say, yeah, I mean, if you just play what you already know, it's much easier. Sometimes I'm also sitting there and I'm exhausted because thinking exhausts you, while just playing what you already know doesn't exhaust you, you know? I mean, it's like, after 4 hours of thinking, or let's say we make a run 7-8 hours of thinking, I come out of the room and I'm so exhausted. I'm thinking, boah, hey, my brain is burning, guys. My brain is burning if I didn't have enough Twitch interaction. Yeah. Sometimes the 7-8 hours are also like 4 hours of like small talk or like conversation with you guys and 4 hours of thinking or something. But I'm exhausted. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's I guess it's worth it, but it's definitely not a walk in the ballpark. It's not, hey, yeah, cool. I mean, I think it's easier. Like even for me, it's easier to just execute, you know. But that's not why I play this game, you know. Johnson says basically poker is a perfect example. Yeah, I mean, as a fun fact, in poker, I basically had always the analytical approach. And well, I mean, that was again, like at the beginning, I know, like I don't know, like that probably concerns least of you people, but for those who are in poker, for me it was like a really yeah, again, sorry if that's boring for most of you, but it was one important part of my life, kind of. Yeah, so when I began with poker, okay, I played up my stakes, and at some point I deviated to heads up because heads up had higher stakes, and I went into a 10k match against Isildur. His name was not Isildur at that point. It's like Victor Blom. I don't know, whatever, yeah? His name was not Isildur on this poker page. Like, everybody had different poker names on different poker pages. But from the way of playing, you could deduct it's Isildur. And when I played first Isildur, I played him. And I thought he's doing wanky, weird, crappy stuff. So I played him. Yeah? And for whatever reason, and I couldn't exactly catch the reason, he got the best. He got, I mean, we played whatever, 3,000 hands. And I think I lost 5 stacks. Like, it was 55k. 50k, yeah? And I didn't know the reason, but I had the feeling that I'm getting owned here. Yeah? I had the feeling he's doing stupid things, but I couldn't exploit it really well, or somehow he had a better intuitive understanding, whatever. Yeah? So I stopped playing him. Yeah? After a year, I found another player, which was also doing really stupid stuff in my opinion. So I played him. I realized after 1,500 or 2,000 hands that that was also Isildur. That time we played, I think, 5,500 hands, and we were break even at the end. I think he went broke on that side and changed to another or whatever, but that was that. And I felt not bad. I felt, yeah, I mean, it seems that I improved my poker play, whatever. Half a year later, I faced him on full tilt. Yeah, that time, again, that's only funny for those guys who are in this area. But that time there was an occurrence. So there was a player called Dur, Tom Dwan, and Dur made a lot of money, around 5.56 million dollars in back in the days on Ultimate Bet and Absolute Poker. At that time, that was like back then, it was 6 or 7 years ago. He was being taken as the GOAT, as a very great heads-up player. Nobody wanted or dared to challenge him. Now, as a matter of fact, I had some heads-up against him on full tilt half a year ago or something, where I thought he is not really that good. But Dur actually made this Dur challenge, and the Dur challenge was anybody can challenge him to X hands playing for 100k stakes, well, 100,000 per stake. So I think somebody accepted. Was it Isildur? I think Isildur accepted. I don't know exactly. I forgot. It's already like 10 years ago or something. But what I did was, okay, I mean, Tom Dwan and like Dur had tables open still, you know, playing Isildur on 4 heads-up tables. He still had tables open. So tables open basically means you can also challenge this player. And I was thinking, yeah, I mean, if he's 4-tabling another guy heads-up, let's see whether he also, I mean, Tom Dwan was like, Dur was really full of himself, you know, so he felt like he's like the god of the game. Therefore, I thought, okay, maybe he doesn't stop playing. Maybe he thinks he can handle it. So I sit at the table, like on 2 tables, and he really played me, yeah, playing the 4 heads-up tables against Isildur next to it. So, yeah, that was pretty good because that was nearly plus $1 million. Then Dur stopped playing, but Isildur actually now opened more tables. So I was thinking, and Isildur is also like very high esteem. So Isildur was also having tables open while playing Tom Dwan, like while playing Dur. And I thought, yeah, maybe Isildur plays me as well, like multi-tabling Dur, you know? I mean, why not, you know? And so I sat with him. And he also didn't stop playing. And this time I got the best of him. Because he was also stupid enough to play me while multi-tabling the other guy. But yeah, that was a great day for me. Because it was it maybe also one of my biggest winning days? Maybe. Yeah, probably. Yeah.